Hi, my name is Nicole and Happy New Year. Thank you for joining me for another yoga flow. Today's yoga flow, I'm going to be taking you through a series of fluid movements as we really ease into the new year, taking some cues from nature and its cycles, really channeling that winter rest and rehabilitative energy as we kind of go through this month rather than rushing, running to our New Year goals. We're going to be taking some cues from nature and instead flowing into this year rather than running straight at it. So today's flow is definitely really amazing for beginners or beginner to intermediate level yogis. You can have some blocks and tools at the ready if you find them useful or helpful. I like to have them on hand. You never know when it may feel good to use. And without further ado, we will get started. So we're going to get started in a child's pose, a wild child's pose, as it were. So we're going to bring the knees to the width of the mat, big toes touch, send the hips back, placing palms and the hands forward as we walk them away from the rest of the body, and gently lowering ourselves to the mat, really arching the chest forward. Now, if this is a bit much, you can take a block, place it under the hands, and you can also stack one forearm on top of the other to press the head, if that feels a little bit better. So setting the intention for today's flow. My intention and creation behind this flow is to enter 2024 with ease and start the year off in a flow state. But if there's another intention that you'd like to set for yourself before we begin, go ahead and do that now. We're just going to take another 4 deep breaths in this pose. So as you breathe and think on your intention, or feel more than welcome to take on the intention that I have used to create this class. Good. Inhale as you lift up through the fingertips and begin to walk yourself forward, coming into a tabletop position, bringing the knees forward so that they are directly under the hips. Once we come to here, let me move my things a little bit, my notes and my blocks. We're going to come, first and foremost, into our tabletop, so our shoulders are over our elbows, over our wrists, and our hips are over our knees. From here, we're going to enter cat-cow. So for those who have never done cat-cow before, we're going to simply drop the belly, lift the gaze, big breath in. Exhale, round and contract. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to keep going with this cat-cow, but we are going to be in a flow state for today's practice. We're actually going to be building on these movements to come into other movements where we just add a little bit on as we go. So again, inhaling as we drop the belly, exhaling as we round and contract. Good. One last round of that cat-cow. Good. And now let's do a little bit of core work. So what we're going to do is keep the hands splayed on the mat, slightly curled at the tips, and from here, tuck the toes. Big breath in as you just gently lift the knees off the mat. And then exhale to lower, okay? So feel that activation in the core, especially the lower core. We're gonna do one more time. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Good, last one, inhale, lift, hold, exhale, lower, good. Now we're gonna add into these two movements. So we're gonna come into a cat-cow where we lift. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift up the knees as we inhale, arch the back, look forward, exhale, round and contract, keep the knees off the mat, okay? And after you finish the session or set, bring those knees down to the mat gently. Let's do 2 more of those. So inhale to lift as you drop the belly, lift the gaze. Keep those knees lifted as you exhale, round and contract. Inhale to come back to center and exhale to lower. Okay, one last time. Nice deep breath in. Don't forget to set yourself up if you need to in between sets. Inhaling to lift, round, contract, or drop the belly, and then exhale, round, contract. Inhale, straighten, exhale back down to the mat. Good. Let's add further onto it. So we're going to take a floating cat-cow tabletop downward dog flow. I'll show you what that looks like. So to start, we're going to keep the knees where they are at, the hands where they're at, and we're going to keep the feet tucked. So as we inhale, we are going to drop the gaze, lift the head, and lift the tailbone and the hips to our downward facing dog. As we exhale, we round and contract through the spine, bring the body forward back to that original downward, or that first tabletop, okay? Let's do it again slowly. Inhale, arch the back, look forward, hips up, bring it to downward facing dog. Exhale, rock it forward, cat pose, back to tabletop on the inhale, good. Inhale, round, contract, downward facing dog, feel free to play with this. Exhale, round to the back, rock the body forward, come back to tabletop. Last one. Inhale, lift. Exhale to round, and return the knees back to the floor. Untuck those toes. Very well done. Let's move our blocks just to the side for right now. As we walk the hands forward, bringing the pelvis down, we're going to keep the elbows tucked in, coming into a little Sphinx pose as we rest here. Very good work. And we weren't rushing through any of those things. Again, taking cues from nature. What we were doing more than anything is really building slowly upon foundations that we were already setting already. So really taking those cues from the cycle of nature, instead of rushing into things, really just building upon things. It's really the way that I sequenced this class. I really love it, actually. It's one of my favorites that I've made so far. Keeping the chest lifted from the mats. Just another couple breaths in this pose here. Good. Keeping the tops of the feet pressed into the mats. Very, very good. Now, you can place your blocks wherever you'd like. We're about to get into some flow, some downward facing dog. So if you're someone who enjoys using blocks for that, you can place them on either side of the mat where your hands may go. Alright. And then once you're ready, you can take a big exhale, slide down to the bottom of the mat, hands framing the chest. Inhale to press up, come back to that tabletop. And then you can utilize your blocks, or you can keep the hands on the mat as you slightly bring them past the head. Tuck the toes, lift the hips once more, coming into our first downward facing dog. Now feel free to shake your head out, one to get the hair out of your face, or just to shake out a little bit of tension if you haven't. Once we're in this first downward facing dog, we're going to walk the dog a little bit to wake up the legs. So we're just going to alternate lifting and lowering each heel. Pressing the hands away from the top of the mat, arching the chest towards the toes, glancing down at the feet. Hands are rounded, grounded through the mat. Just keep your breathing steady here. Good. Keep in mind that intention that you set for class, or the need to flow rather than force. Good. Let's invite some spinal rolls in. So returning back to a neutral downward facing dog. And also, if your heels don't touch the floor quite yet, that's totally okay. You're going to inhale, kind of do that round and contract thing again, except this time you're going to bring yourself to plank pose. And as you exhale, bend the knees, keep them hovered, send the hips back to our downward facing dog. So slightly different variation of what we did about a couple breaths ago. So inhaling, roll through the upper back, bring it to plank, and exhale, send the hips back, knees are bent, downward facing dog. Good. 2 more. Keeping that core engaged here. Inhale, flow, exhale, bring it back to your downward facing dog. Very good. Beautiful. Now from here, we're going to come into our half plank. So I'm going to take it starting on my right side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to step it right in the middle of where my hand is and where my back foot is. I'm going to turn my right foot towards you and keep my left foot on the mat. Once I'm here, I'm going to keep my left hand in line with my shoulder, so feel free to move it if necessary. And then once that's done, right hand comes up to the sky, looking up at our right hand if you are able to. Now, if this is a little bit challenging for you, you're more than welcome to keep it on the hip as well. Holding here in the side plank, really opening up through the shoulders and the chest, activating the core. Very good. And what we're going to do to come out of this is we're going to take this right hand, bring it up and over as we turn the body to bring forward to that first position, okay? This right knee now is going to come onto the mat, and we're going to turn to the other side of the mat, keeping the knee in line with its foot and the left foot. Right hand stays on the mat, left hand comes up, a different variation of our side plank on the other side. Again, blazing up at our left hand. Option to stay here, or if you want to challenge yourself, inhale, lift that back leg. Try to keep that back foot flexed and in line with the hip and the leg. You can stay there for 3 breaths, or if you're feeling a little bit of a challenge, bend at the knee. Try to take the left hand, grab hold, and press that hand or that foot into that hand, trying to keep the knee in line with the hip. Very good. Inhale, release. Come back to that starting position, that side plank. And from here, on the next exhale, take that right foot and kick it out towards the right side. Left foot is turned slightly towards the bottom left corner of the mat. And this left hand is going to scoop up and over and look upwards to come into our half baby wild thing, or baby wild thing. Good, really arching the chest up and forward. And inhale, bring that left hand down to the mat, turn that right knee, right foot forward. And then once there, take a nice deep inhale as you step that right foot back, either by gliding or lifting, to come back to our downward facing dog. Good, let's take a simple flow where we inhale, come forward, rock it to plank. Exhale all the way down to the mat, untuck the toes, lift slightly coming into cobra. Exhale all the way back down, tuck the toes, lift, downward facing dog, and then gently knees to the width of the mat, big toes touch. Child's pose. Taking a rest here. If you're like me and refuse hair clips, your hair is in your face and you need to fix it. Or you let it run wild, I'm not either for you. Just going to take a couple moments here, pausing to reflect on the work we've done so far. I love this flow so much because you can really add to it if you would like to, but you don't have to. The variations and the adaptions are so varied that you can really make it your own based on your experience level and what you're really looking to try to practice in today's flow, which is why I love it so much. So just a couple more breaths here. Again, referring back to our intention, or the intention set for the class, which is flowing with ease. Good, we're going to do the other side whenever you're ready, but everyone else can inhale, roll up through the spine, come back to our tabletop position, and maybe in a downward facing dog. Okay, good. So once we're in our downward facing dog, once more, we are going to go straight into those spinal rolls. So inhaling as we round contract, coming into plank, and then exhaling to send those hips back to downward dog, okay? Just 3 more. Whatever pace feels good for you. Good, and after that last one, returning to your downward facing dog, stepping that left foot in between the hand and the right foot, and then right hand comes in slightly so it stacks perfectly on top of that right shoulder, turning the body fully to the left side of the mat, left hand comes up, or wherever it was for the last side, looking upwards at that left hand, holding here. You can also come down onto the forearm if that's a little bit better for you, if this is too challenging. Good, let's take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, windmill that left hand down as we turn the body forward back to the starting position. Left foot brings the left knee down, and we bring the right foot directly in line with the left knee and the left foot. Left hand is now on the mat, shoulder over, over elbow, over wrist. My hair is doing me dirty today. Inhale as we reach up and up and up, gauging that core, looking up at that right hand if you are able. And I'm going to once again offer those variations. So if you'd like to take the variations, you can whenever ready. Inhale, lift that back leg, keeping it in line with the foot and the leg, flexed in the foot. Or if you want to take another variation, you can bend at the knee, bend at the knee, grab the foot, press the foot into the hand, trying to again keep that leg in line with the knee, holding just 2 breaths. Gauging through the core. Good, release. Coming back to our starting position, let's kick the leg back and out so the feet, or the foot on the left side is now facing the left side. This right hand is going to swoop up and over as we arch our chest up towards the ceiling, baby wild thing. Good, come back. Reach that right hand down as you turn the knee, the foot, all to face the top of the mat. And then as we inhale, slide it back, come to our downward facing dog, option to flow. Inhale, come to a high plank. Exhale, lower all the way down, untuck and lift. Exhale, lower, tuck the toes, lift, downward dog. And then gently exhale, knees to the width of the mat. Child's pose. We're going to take about 6 to 7 deep breaths here in this pose. Just feeling the effects of our practice. Perhaps coming back to our intention. Letting our heart rate start to fall as we relax and enter our cool down. Good. On the inhale, we're going to lift the nose fingers again, but this time we're going to walk the hands in, taking the feet out to one side so we can take a seat onto our mat. We're going to extend our feet downwards towards the top of the mat. And we're going to take a caterpillar pose. So with caterpillar, first and foremost, let's extend the legs all the way through, pressing the bottom of the legs into the mat, flexing the toes towards the head, sitting nice and tall. For caterpillar, we're going to lift the knees slightly and still keep that nice flexion in the feet, but the bend is going to help give us a little bit more room to play. So we're going to lift the hands as we inhale, and exhale, fold to reach. You can grab the sides of your feet, your ankles, whatever you can grab. Feel free to bend a little bit more in those knees to give you a little bit more room, or if you're feeling really flexible today, you can even straighten them and just do a straight forward fold. Don't be afraid to round through the back. Really let the arms rest on the legs. Allow gravity to do some work here. And as you're ready, you can inhale to rise, slowly coming up inch by inch. Left leg is going to extend straight with the toes flexing towards the head. Right foot is going to come up onto the mat so the knee is pointing up towards the sky, and then we're going to take the left foot and guide it to the outside of the right foot. Take it to the outside of the left leg. Left hand is going to wrap around the right knee. Right hand comes behind as we look over our shoulder, sitting up nice and tall, really grounded through the sit bone into the mat, and pressing with the right hand as we lift and lengthen through the spine. Good. Inhale back to center. Take that foot, move it back to where it belongs, where we started, and then we'll do the other side. So taking the left foot this time and then guiding it to the outside of the right leg. Right hand wraps around, left hand comes behind, grounded through the sit bone, pressing into the fingertips, into the hand. You can also place a block under the hand if that helps. Lifting and lengthening. Very good, back to center. Let that left foot come back to join the right, and then let's slide our sit bones down to the bottom of the mat as we make our ways to bring our backs flush to the mat. You can feel free to move your blocks at this point. At least bring them a little bit closer to you if you'd like. Okay, so we're going to take spinal twist here. So left leg is going to extend all the way down to the mat. Right knee is going to hug. Bring the knee to hug with the hands to the chest. And then using the left hand, we're going to guide that knee over to the left side. Right hand extends outwards towards the right. You can feel free to place a pillow or block under the knee to give a little bit more support. And we're just going to hold here a couple breaths. Inhale, using the left hand to bring the right knee back. Both hands join as they bring the knee closer to the chest. Inhale, send it back. And exhale, guide the left knee this time into the chest. Same thing, just using the right hand to bring the knee to the right side. Left hand comes out towards the left side, looking over the left shoulder if you're able. Very good. Again, inhaling to come back to center, bringing both hands to wrap around the knee, gentle squeeze, and then lowering each leg as you prepare to enter your Shavasana. Now for today's Shavasana, you can find corpse pose by pressing every bottom of the body into the mat, flush, flipping the hands so the palms are facing the ceiling, or you can even place one hand over heart, one hand over stomach. If this is a little bit much for the low back, you can bring each foot to the width of the mat and allow the knees to fall into each other. That will take a little bit of stress off your low back. As we get ready to enter Shavasana, I'll invite you to close your eyes very gently, do a quick body scan. Make sure we're not willingly holding on to any tension within the body, so not doing things like forcing the eyes shut, clenching the jaw, or making fists. As you begin the Shavasana for your practice, I will ask that we return back to the intention of the class, which was to ease into the new year rather than rush at it. So as you're in your Shavasana today, I'd like you to think of what takes up your metaphorical plate currently, and think of all the things that you'd like to add to it. Maybe you created a vision board for the year, or a list of to-dos or goals. Just imagine the two separately, okay? Imagine what life would look like if you intertwined them right now. Is your plate too full? Are there too many things on it? Maybe take this time to really analyze where you're putting your time and energy into your life, taking cues and inspiration from nature that sometimes less is more. It's wonderful to have grand ideas about how we can improve our lives, but you don't always need to rush into them. If you've never really been consistent in working out or eating well or any of those things, jumping into them headfirst will result in the same results, exiting them as rapidly as we entered them. So this is a time where we can really plan for the things that we want to do rather than rushing into them. So feel free to look at your plate and maybe take some things away, add some things in appropriate servings, so we're not overtly stuffing our plates. I'll allow you to ponder this for just a couple minutes more as you rest, and I will let you know when it's time to come up. Gently begin to bring yourself back to consciousness by wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, maybe taking in a really beautiful, long, deep inhale through our nose, and exhaling through the mouth. Good. And as you're ready, you can gently begin to open the eyes to adjust once more to the daylight, or whatever light is in your home. Whenever you're ready, you can roll over onto one side and bring yourself to any seated posture in which is comfortable. We're going to end today's practice by inhaling, lifting both hands up overhead, and imagining the theme of ease in between our hands as we bring palms to touch, exhaling all that energy down to our heart center as we bow forward. Namaste. Thank you so much for flowing with me. Again, Happy New Year, Happy 2024. I'm wishing you all a safe year full of love, compassion, and new adventures. I can't wait to see you next week, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.